Hello everyone, and there is another video from the topic of efficiency and exchange. In the previous videos you have learned that there is always a trade-off in between efficiency and equity, and here again we are considering the market efficiency, but this time we are going to discuss the obstacles to the market efficiency, and what can be the obstacles, and why we are treating some factors as the obstacles to the market efficiency, because sometimes government wants to increase the welfare of the people by intervening in the functioning of the market, in form of either putting a price ceiling, or in form of giving a subsidy to the consumer, or in form of transferring income from the high income group to the low income group, or just use the tax revenues to increase the welfare of low income group in the society. So we all are going to discuss these three different types of factors or policies of the government, which we can treat as the obstacles to obtain the market efficiency goal one by one. So let us start with the price ceiling, which is a form of the price control. Okay, and then what we are going to see, we will see that how what will happen to the surplus before and after the implementation of these policies in the market. The first type of policy which government can opt in order to increase the welfare or equity in the market of a good is the price ceiling. It is a form of price control, and here the government put a maximum value or maximum level of price, which is also known as the maximum legal price, and it is always set below the equilibrium price, so that the good become affordable for those who cannot afford it at the price which is determined by the equality of demand and supply. So what we are going to do, we are going to consider that what happened to the welfare of consumer and producer before and after putting this price ceiling policy. In order to analyze the impact of the price ceiling on the welfare of consumer and producer, let us consider the cement market. Here the cement market, as you can see from the diagram, this market is clear at a price of $1.4 per kilogram. At this price there is a trade of 3,000 kilogram of cement per day. In order to calculate the total economic surplus, what we need to do, we need to calculate the consumer and the producer surplus. So let us first calculate the consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is the area under this demand curve and above this market price of $1.4 per kilogram. So what we need to do, we need to calculate the area of this right angle triangle. That can be calculated by this formula: half multiplied by height to the width of this right angle triangle. So what is actually the height of this right angle triangle? It is equals to half and then 2 minus 1.4 multiplied by the width. Width is equals to 3000. 3000s. So it is when you calculate it, it will be equals to $900 per day. So this is the consumer surplus, which is $900 per day. Now it's time to calculate the producer surplus. Producer surplus is just the area above the supply curve and below the market price. And so here we need to calculate the area of this right angle triangle. Again the same formula we will use. and here the height of this right angle triangle is equals to 1.4 minus 1.4 minus zero point 0.8, and width is again equals to 3000, which is in form of kilogram. Okay, so it is again going to be 900 $900 per day. So both you can see consumer and producer, they are actually having an additional benefit, or which is equals to 900 by trading an amount of 3000 kilogram of cement in this market. What about the total surplus? So in this market, the total surplus is equals to the, which is equals to the summation of consumer and producer surplus. So total surplus is going to be 900 plus 900 equals to $1800. So this is actually the total surplus before the implementation of the price ceiling. So if government put a price ceiling which is in form of a price which that lies below the market price, then we will see that what happened to the consumer and producer surplus. Let us assume that the price, which is the market clearing price, it perceives a high, especially for the small builders. So in order to give a subsidy to the small builders, government put a price ceiling of at $1. So it is actually the maximum legal price at which buyers of cement they can buy cement from the market. Any price greater than this is considered to be illegal. So in that case, what will happen to the quantity supplied? Of course, the quantity supplied is going to be reduced. Why? Because this price, which is set as the price ceiling, there are many suppliers in the market of cement who cannot satisfy their marginal cost of producing cement. That's why some of them, they will leave from the market, because the price is too low, and it is not covering the marginal cost of producing and selling cement in the market. So what we so now we are going to calculate producer and consumer surplus at this new price, which is $1. So let us first consider to calculate the producer surplus. Producer surplus is basically the area above the supply curve and below the price. Price is now 1, and at that price, how can we calculate the producer surplus? It is the same method we will use, the area of this right angle triangle. So producer surplus is equals to half into height into width of this right angle triangle. So height is actually equals to 1 minus 0.8 into width is 1000. So you just have seen that the output actually reduces from 3000 to 1000. So by selling or trading that amount of gold, the producer surplus is going to shrink up to $100 per day. So you just have seen that if you compare this producer surplus with the producer surplus before price ceiling, then there is actually a decrease in the producer surplus by an amount of 800, because before the producer surplus was 900. Okay. So now it's time to calculate the consumer surplus. How can we find the consumer surplus? Is it this big right angle triangle, or is it different? No, we have to find out first the quantity which is traded in the market, or which is actually consumed by the consumers, is 1000. So at this 1000 quantity, what we have to do, we have to move on the demand curve. And so the area under the, by definition, consumer surplus is the area under this demand curve and above the market price, which is actually $1. So the consumer surplus, if you look at the consumer surplus, then you can see that consumer surplus is can be denoted by the area of this green area. But how can we calculate it? In order to calculate what we have to do, we have to see that there is actually a small this area comprises of a small triangle and then a rectangle. This is the rectangle, right? And here is the small triangle. So consumer surplus is basically going to define here by the area of this right angle triangle, which is height into width or width into height. It is same of the triangle, and plus the area of the rectangle, and the area of the rectangle is just width into height. Okay, as a next step, what you have to do, you just have to plug in the numeric values in this formula. So the height is going to be, height of this triangle is 2 minus 1.8, and the quantity is 1000, right? This will gives you a value which is equals to 100, and then the area of the rectangle is equals to the height of this rectangle, which is 1.8 minus 1. So 1.8 minus 1 mean 0.8 into 1000, so it will gives you 800. So you will get a consumer surplus equals to 900, which is same like before the price ceiling. So what does it mean? It means that there is no change in the consumer surplus. The consumer is having the same surplus even after the price ceiling. Okay, so now it's time to look at the total economic surplus. Total economic surplus after price ceiling, it is equals to 1000. Why? Because consumer surplus is 900 and producer surplus is 100, so it makes 1000. So here if you compare this total economic surplus with the surplus before price ceiling, then you will see that there is a loss in the surplus by an amount of 800. 1800 is the surplus before price ceiling and 1000 is after price ceiling. So there is actually a loss of welfare or loss of total economic surplus by an amount of $800 per day. $800 per day. Okay, and in a diagram, how can we calculate this lost in surplus? Basically, it is the lost in efficiency. Lost surplus is also sometimes termed as loss in the efficiency, and most of the time we use a specific term for the loss in efficiency as the deadweight loss. So how can we calculate that loss surplus by using this diagram? You can see that for that what we have to do, that if there is no price ceiling, then the amount of cement which is traded in the market, it is equals to 3000, right? So we have to, and after price ceiling, what will be the what is the amount of cement which is traded in the market? It is just going to be only 1000. So we have to calculate the area of this right angle triangle, which is yellow in color, and it will gives you the amount of lost economic surplus or deadweight loss in the in this market of cement because of the price ceiling policy of government. So here is the deadweight loss is equals to, again, this right angle this triangle is the right angle triangle. That's why we will use the same formula, height into width. And here you can see that width is equals to 3000 minus 1000, while height is equals to how much height? Height is equals to 1.8 minus 1. 1.8 minus 1, so it is equals to 1 by 2 into 2000 multiplied by 1.8 minus 1.8. So it is going to be it is going to be $800 per day, which is same as you have calculated the lost surplus by comparing the surplus in two cases in a separate way. So this is so what actually you have learned here. You have learned here that because of the imposition of price ceiling policy, where government just want to give a subsidy to the small builders by just making the cement affordable for them. Actually, the total economic surplus is going to be lower. It is going to shrink. Instead of we can say that there is a lost in the welfare. Okay, so I hope that you have understood this concept. But the result of price ceiling is that because of the price ceiling, the total economic surplus is going to be lower. Instead of it increases the overall welfare, it is causing a decrease in the surplus, and that decrease in surplus is because of the decrease in the producer surplus. Producers are actually going to affect by this price ceiling policy. So you just have seen that because of the price ceiling, the overall surplus decreases. There is another option to give a subsidy or to just improve the state of the small builder is to use the income transfer method. Instead of putting a price ceiling, use the income transfer method. So here the supporters of income transfer says that instead of putting the price ceiling, it is better to transfer income to the small builders, so they will buy cement. And from where that income comes, that can be transferred to the small builders. The income comes from the imposition of taxes on the large builders. So there is a question that are large builders ready to have or ready to pay taxes to generate income in order to transfer that income to the small builders? The answer is yes. Why? Because in case of it is a better solution than the price ceiling imposition, because with the price ceiling every day they are going to lose $800 in $800 in their surplus. So it is better to just increase the overall economic surplus by selling at the same market price, which was 1.4, and then pay the tax, and then government can use that tax to facilitate the small builders. And we can easily compare the surplus for both of these policies, price control and income transfer policy. Let us first consider the overall surplus for large builders and small builders. In case of price control, you can see that both large and small builders, they are able to get only 1000 kilogram per day. So they are actually trading a small output level for cement. That's why their overall surplus is actually going to be lower. On the other hand, in case of transfer payments or transfer income, in that case, we can say that both large and small builders, they are able to trade a quantity of 3000 kilogram per day. So basically, their surplus as a consumer, as a large builder or small builder, is higher in case of income transfer. In this case, basically the market is working at its efficient level. So the overall surplus, if you look at the overall surplus, it is going to be higher. And after that, if there is imposition of taxes, then government is going to use those taxes for the welfare of the small builders by transferring income generated by the tax revenues on the large builders. So this is the way how you can analyze the effect of price ceiling policy or different types of policy on the surplus of producers and consumers. I hope that you have understood this concept and you enjoyed that concept. Now you are able to analyze and compare the surplus, overall surplus before and after the implementation of any policy in form of price control or price floor. If you like this video, then don't forget to thumbs up and share with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to press the bell icon so you will receive the notification for my latest video.